Good morning, all. We were discussing public policy and politics. In the previous discussion, we tried to introduce public policy. What is public policy? And we also tried to understand that politics within communities seek to influence the decisions and actions that are taken by government in relation to public policy. Uh, we also discussed that politics shape public policy when decisions are arrived at as a result of a process of negotiation, persuasion, and compromise. We discussed around an example voting undertaken by deliberative assembly, and negotiation between government and interest groups. And finally, we came to learn that politics occurs when there is a division of opinion. Where there is no division of opinion, politics has no meaning. We also discussed that politics is both about the pursuit of ideal interests and pursuit of material interests. Earlier, politics was used to discuss as the pursuit of material interests. But in fact, it is about the pursuit of ideal as well as pursuit of material interests. As for example, changing voting pattern, voting behavior. Nowadays, voting preferences are affected by, or preferences are the result of moral and social issues rather than economic issues. In liberal democracies, governments share power with interest and advocacy groups and with civil society broadly. And this was the last point we discussed in the previous class, characteristics of closed and open society. And politics is basically is an issue of open societies where there is conflict around a particular point, and politics try to mitigate that differences. Now we will be taking it further. इसको हम आगे ले जाएंगे. Now wanted to see the relationship between politics and rationality. एक मेजर डिबेट है with a study of public policy has been about the relationship between politics and rationality. Now, some people argue that public policy decisions should be based on rationality rather than politics. And rationality, you know that. And politics, you know that. Politics, we come to certain consensus for taking a decision. Sometimes consensus is a forced consensus. As in authoritarian government, there is no no other opinion. The opinion taken by the authority, that is the final. वहाँ कोई स्कोप नहीं डिस्कशन का. लेकिन in liberal democracy like us, decisions, politics, we use politics in taking decisions. Politics help us to come to a particular conclusion or consensus point. Whereas rationality is what is right, what is wrong, without taking any kind of biasness. For example, suppose we talk of women reservation or paying hefty fees in a private institution. My meritorious student cannot join a private institution if he or she is not having a good amount of money. We have certain provisions for women. We have certain special provisions for weaker sections. Although they may be having lesser merit, but they are inducted into the system so that they can join the mainstream. So this decision is not rational. This decision is a political decision. We have come to a certain conclusion. We have discussed in our legislative bodies, or we have discussed at various points. We have discussed with the civil societies. हम लोगों ने सिविल सोसाइटी के साथ डिस्कस किया है, वॉलंटरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ डिस्कस किया है, एंड वी वांटेड कि हमारे एक साइजेबल प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ पीपल आर वेरी पुअर. Suppose 40% population is below poverty line. So we have to make arrangement for them. What kind of education they should be provided, or where they should be admitted. There must be some provisions so that they can study in good institutions. So here decision may not be perfectly rational. Rationality तो ये कहता है कि इसके पास सबसे ज्यादा मेरिट है उसी को जाना चाहिए. लेकिन we discuss the things, we discuss the history, we discuss the development, we discuss the society, we discuss how society can grow, until all sections of the people come to the fore. Fruits of development reaches all. Development is not possible. So we take a political decision, and political decision comes through consensus, as we have already discussed. So some people argue that public policy decisions should be based on rationality rather than on politics. Now this view underlies the idea that we can separate politics and administration as activities. Actually, suppose this administration, that may be appendage of implementation of a particular thing. So politics and administration, we can look at politics and administration as a separate activities. This view, if we talk of rationality, in that case, politics will be a different thing, and rationality would be a different thing. And rationality would be implemented through administration. Although political decisions are also implemented through administration, but politics and administration as activities, as rational activities. अगर हमको सोसाइटी को एडमिनिस्टर करना है तो देयर व्हाट इज द रैशनलिटी उसके थ्रू करें, not through the political decisions. So political decisions may be different, but rational decisions may be different, and that should get priority, and we may administer society through that rational decisions. लेकिन सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात यह है कि जो हम डिसीजंस लेते हैं, इसमें देखिए फोर्थ टेम्पलेट को, पॉलिटिक्स इज assumed to be the process of selecting policy goals, whereas administration is the process of selecting best means of attaining those goals. When we select a policy goals means if wanted development of all sections of the society, then we will have to take some political decision. We will discriminate, we'll make protective discrimination. Suppose we may have certain rules for protective discrimination as we are having today, and it is there in some form in every society. If we open a private institution, that private institution cannot be forced by the government that you will provide free education to the people not having those who cannot afford your institution. We cannot do like that, because we have to take the political decision. If this institution is run, this a sector has invested a lot of money in running this institution, though they should get some profit. So they what we call decide certain amount of fees. There may be some amount of regulation, but still the fees is very heavy. Whereas administration is in the process of selecting the best means of attaining those goals. Administration talks of the best. Suppose if we take a test, whosoever is the best is selected. This may be the approach of administration, whereas the political approach is that if we have to finally there should be a even or egalitarian development. So every section should be taken into account. The former of these activities is the province of the politician, whereas latter is the province of administration or official. Now, critics of this view argue that rationality can never supplant politics in policy making. When we talk of policy making, it is next to impossible that the place of politics will be taken by rationality. Actually, in any policy, we take certain judgment. What is the best? And that judgment is based upon people's values and preferences. किसी भी policy में कुछ judgment आप लेते हैं. We will have school complexes. Now the small schools in every panchayat will be closed due to certain reasons, due to thin attendance. So we take certain decision on basis of certain values, social values. Now equality is the value of the society. Fraternity is the value of the society. Secularism is the society of the value of the society. So we cannot take any such decision which is against the secularism, or which does not fit into the value system of secularism. Or we can't take such decisions कि millions of people in the society will remain neglected. So judgment जो होता है, what is the best judgment? That is based on the social values, people's values. जो हमारा values and preferences है उस पर depend कर रहा है. And on the once value is involved, politics is there. So policy making inevitably remains a matter of debate, conflict, negotiation, rather than disinterested analysis. We can make a very what you call simple analysis, which does not involve any interest of society. There may be a simple definition of meritocracy, simple definition of merit. I will give you one example of the simple definition of merit. Sometimes we take very simple definitions. Suppose कि we select a police officer. What are the merit points in selecting a police officer? We take some written tests, some general studies test. Earlier, we used to take general studies and tests of certain subjects, and they would take interview. And those who are selected, those who falls in the merit line may be in any category, that although protective discrimination is there, प्रोटेक्टिव डिस्क्रिमिनेशन के रहते हुए भी जो समस्या है वो मैं बता रहा हूं कि व्हाट इज द सिंपलिस्टिक डेफिनेशन वी आर स्टिल टेकिंग. सपोज कि वी प्रिपेयर मेरिट पॉइंट्स इन एवरी कैटेगरी, इन जनरल कैटेगरी, रिजर्व कैटेगरीज, एंड वी सेलेक्ट देम. Now a police officer is selected on the basis of general understanding of society and understanding of particular subject. Now still right now we have replaced subject with a what you call comprehensive test of general studies only. So we can say that we select a police officer on the basis of general understanding of various issues of the society, science, technology, social structure, economy, statistics, whatever it is, with a holistic idea of the society, जिसमें सबसे बेहतर है उनको हम चुन लेते हैं. But what should be the merit point for a police officer? Where is that affective domain? He is courageous or not? He is honest or not? He is sociable or not? These things are not tested, which should be the most important merit point for a police officer, or for that matter any officer. If he is not adventurous, if he is not courageous, he or she is not courageous, if he or she is not sociable, so all these affective domains are not tested, which will ultimately make a police officer successful. He is honest or not. Now you will raise a question: is there a test for honesty? Is there a test for knowing that person is courageous or not? Is there any test to know that person is sociable or not? We will have to find out. If you can measure intelligence, if you can know that a person is telling lie or not, if you have different measures, that measures are not applied while selecting a police officer, or for that matter any officer. Just on the basis of general understanding of the society, you select the officer. जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बारे में आप उनको डिफरेंट एरियाज में सवाल पूछते हैं, उसका रिटर्न और इंटरव्यू में वो जवाब देते हैं, देन फाइनली सेलेक्ट द ऑफिसर. ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग कितना भी गहरा हो, दिस अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज बेसिकली कॉग्निटिव अंडरस्टैंडिंग. that is only in the form of knowledge. He knows the things. So policy making inevitably remains a matter of debate. Like as we right now we put a debate before you. How you can select an officer just on the basis of the knowledge of certain certain aspects of society or all aspects of society? Why not test it for honesty? Why not test it for courage? Why not test it for sociability? Why not test it for commitment? Why these aspects are missing, whereas we can do that? So this is a matter of, now this issue has come up before us. Now we can debate. There may be conflict. Various groups may have various opinions, and finally we can negotiate and we can come to certain conclusion. So policy making is not a disinterested analysis. Any analysis, any debate, any conflict related to policy making, that will involve a different kind of opinion, various opinions. इसमें तरह तरह के opinions होंगे. Now come to the next point. critics argue that, in light of the previous discussion, right now what we discussed, we cannot clearly separate politics and administration as activities. It is very difficult to separate. पहले भी जब लोग बात कर रहे थे, बात करने में वहां पर परेशानी हो रही थी कि एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जो रैशनल एक्टिविटीज हम लोग कर रहे थे, whereas politics involves various issues, debates, and value system. On the basis of value system, we come to certain conclusion. Whereas administration takes a rational decision. It is very difficult to make separation between the two, because political decisions are also implemented through administration. Politics. What are the political activities? What comes out of the political activities that are implemented through administrative activities? We also call it bureaucratic politics, in which different agencies take different viewpoints regarding the desirability of certain policies. Is there in authoritarian political system and democratic political system as well. Now, this bureaucratic politics, we generally know it as departmentalism. इसमें भी different views है. एक जनरल पॉलिटिक्स है जो सोसाइटी में गवर्नमेंट और सिविल सोसाइटीज, जो भी हमारे डिफरेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, या जो एक वेब ऑफ स्टेक होल्डर्स है नाउअडेज, तो सब मिल करके डिसीजन ले रहे हैं. सिविल सोसाइटी, गवर्नमेंट टेक्स डिसीजन इन कंसल्टेशन with the civil society, or various what you call, like it may be parents, it may be students, it may be teachers, it may be some NGOs जो पॉलिसी से जुड़े हुए हैं, उनके साथ मिल करके हम डिसीजन लेते हैं, कोई भी लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी. नाउ देयर इज ब्यूरोक्रेटिक पॉलिटिक्स आल्सो. जैसे आपका जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, जो ब्यूरोक्रेसी है, उसके अंदर भी पॉलिटिक्स है, जिसको कि नॉर्मली वी नो एज डिपार्टमेंटलिज्म. जैसे आपने सुना होगा कि एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट वांटेड, सपोज कि 5% wanted 50 crore rupees for its development. Now finance department says no, we have various other obligations, we can give you only 30 crores. So education department makes its administration makes its own point. It is very vital issue. Education is very important for society. Without education, no system can move. If you wanted development, so we wanted very good schools, very good universities, very good colleges. So this much amount is needed. We wanted to appoint 500 more teachers, 5,000 more teachers. We wanted teacher-student ratio to be corrected, things like that. So bureaucratic politics, which is generally known as departmentalism, refers to the tendency of particular departments or agencies to habitually take particular policy positions or lines on policy issues. On the basis of policy we have framed, or in light, even in the policy we have framed, the existing policy, there may be bureaucratic politics. Different departments may claim different kinds of finances and other amenities, and they can claim certain other things which may be in conflict with the opinion or with the decision of the other departments. Different policy lines taken by finance and other department. For example, finance department may have may take another line, and this education department may take another line. So there may be bureaucratic politics also. Now it's very important participation of non-state actors in policy making in liberal society. As I discussed in the beginning, now Earlier, we had state-centric policy. From state-centric policy, we switched over to gradually switched over to such a policy where there is participation of non-state actors. In liberal democracy, power is not monopolized by the state. There is a room for non-state actors to shape the policy. As for example, right to education. Right to education, ultimately that act was passed in 2009, but for many years, for many years, even I think not more than 2 decades, many voluntary organizations working in the field of school education or education of the children were trying to make it what you call fundamental right. You know, there are many issues behind that. आप जानते होंगे कि वो there is one decision of the Supreme Court, Andhra Pradesh versus Unni Krishnan, state Unni Krishnan versus state of Andhra Pradesh. इस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने डिसीजन दिया था. 90s में कई घटनाएं हुई. एक घटना ये उसमें ये भी थी जिसमें कि कोर्ट ने कहा कि एजुकेशन इज ऑलरेडी ए फंडामेंटल राइट. Because education is a part of life. Life means dignified life, and any life cannot be dignified until having some sort of education, at least having elementary education, suppose. So education is already a fundamental right. उसके बाद आप जानते हैं EFA, एजुकेशन फॉर ऑल, पूरे दुनिया ने इसके लिए अपने प्रयास किए. कई चीजें बदली भी, लेकिन स्टिल 2009 में जो फाइनली फंडामेंटल राइट बनाए, करीब 4000 ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं. नेफ्रे एक अलायंस है, नेशनल अलायंस ऑफ वॉलंटरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस फॉर राइट टू एजुकेशन के लिए एक अलायंस है जिसको नेफ्रे कहते हैं. उसके बैनर के तहत गवर्नमेंट से नेगोशिएशंस हुआ, रीनेगोशिएशंस हुआ. अल्टीमेटली वी गॉट दिस राइट इन 2009, और अभी करीब 10 साल हो चुके हैं. एक डिकेड बीत चुका है. स्टिल वी हैव नॉट अचीव्ड यूनिवर्सल elementary education, but still we are trying for that. We are taking various measures. Right to education के different provisions को लागू कर रहे हैं, and we are trying to achieve the goal. तो नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स का रोल धीरे धीरे बढ़ता चला गया. हमने न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के बारे में भी कहा था. 4 साल तक हमने डिस्कस किया. 2016 के बाद 20 में पॉलिसी आई. इसके सुब्रमण्यम कमेटी का रिपोर्ट आया, उस पर फीडबैक लिया गया. एक 40 पेज का दूसरा डॉक्यूमेंट आया, उस पर फीडबैक लिया गया. फिर ये फाइनल रिपोर्ट आया रंगराजन कमेटी की, इस पर भी फीडबैक लिया गया. फाइनली देयर इज 60 पेज पॉलिसी इन जुलाई अगस्त 2020 में आया हमारे सामने. So now policies, and especially in liberal democracies, non-state actors has a greater role in shaping the policy of any state, any country, any society. अब जैसे मान लिया होल्डिंग ऑफ, इसमें एक एग्जांपल, होल्डिंग ऑफ पीरियोडिक इलेक्शंस, ensure that politicians must account to voters. अब जो हमारा पीरियोडिक इलेक्शंस है उसमें जो वोटर्स के को जो पॉलिटिशियंस को उनके लिए अकाउंटेबल होना पड़ता है. Their actions are judged by the people, and they may lose the election, they may win the election. और उसके पहले हमने कहा है once we take decision, there are various issues. इलेक्शन जो है केवल इकोनॉमी का इशू नहीं है कि आपका रोड बन गया, बिजली बन गया, पानी बन गया, then we vote for a particular person. ये केवल इकोनॉमिक इश्यूज नहीं, इधर वेरी सोशल इश्यूज। हो सकता है कोई पॉलिटिशियन सोशल इश्यूज पर उसने कुछ काम किया हो और वो जीत गया हो, उसने इकोनॉमिक फ्रंट पर वो बिल्कुल इक्वल हो। तो इसलिए these politicians in some way they must account to voters for their actions, इसीलिए इलेक्शन है। otherwise same person can rule for 20 years. So general public have some influence on public policy, or you can say general public basically the policies are governed by general public. The government you formulate, that is your government, people's government, and that government further negotiates with the NGOs and all that. Now I'm coming to the next point, that is very important point, that is existence of an independent media. And advocacy groups mean that non-state actors can influence the policy agenda and thereby decisions taken by the state. This media is also non-state actor, and various advocacy groups, as for example I told NEFRE, National Alliance for Right to Education. This is a group. This is a group of 400 voluntary organizations, very strong group, negotiating with the government. We for the last this provision was the free and compulsory education was a provision of our constitution, especially a state principle, like part of the directive principle, and the state could not do what it should be done, what it should do in the last many years. Hence it should be made a part of fundamental right, and finally it became fundamental right. अगर आप हिस्ट्री जानते होंगे तो कई बार बिल्स पार्लियामेंट में गए आए, and finally under pressure from the pressure group, this is a pressure group. ये जो कई ऐसे ग्रुप्स हैं नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स जो हैं वो प्रेशर ग्रुप के रूप में काम करते हैं। कई यूनियन है, कई ऐसे जो है एसोसिएशंस हैं, they act as a pressure group, they negotiate with the government. जैसे अभी जो टीचर्स का मान लीजिए बिहार में टीचर्स का जो अभी टीचर्स है उनका जो है कैडर रिस्टोर नहीं हुआ है, और जो जिस तरह दूसरे सर्विसेज में लोग हैं उस तरह उनकी सर्विस कंडीशंस भी तैयार नहीं हुई है, तो उसके लिए दे आर स्ट्रगलिंग फॉर दैट, नेगोशिएटिंग विद द गवर्नमेंट। उसी तरह मीडिया एक बहुत ही पावरफुल नॉन स्टेट एक्टर है जिसका कि इन्फ्लुएंस पॉलिसी मेकिंग पर होता है। मीडिया पर हम लास्ट में आएंगे और वही हमारा लास्ट पॉइंट होगा, लेकिन उसके पहले हम लोग इसको देख सकते हैं कि सम राइटर्स क्वेश्चन दिस डिपिक्शन ऑफ द वे दैट पब्लिक पॉलिसी शिफ्ट within liberal democracies. They argue that distribution of power within liberal democracies is unequal, and in particular that certain interests have more power than other type of interests. कहने का मतलब है कि जो नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स हैं सोसाइटी में, डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स हैं, कई पावरफुल ग्रुप्स हैं, कई वीक ग्रुप्स हैं। तो कभी होता है पावरफुल ग्रुप्स के चलते डिसीजन जो राइट नहीं हो पाता, यूं कहिए डिसीजन उनके फेवर में हो जाता है। जैसे कि एग्जाम्पल, बिजनेस ऑक्युपाइज सच ए पोजीशन सिंस इट कंट्रोल्स द इन्वेस्टमेंट इन द कंट्री। अब जो प्राइवेट इकोनॉमी इमर्ज कर रही है उसमें जो कॉर्पोरेट हाउसेस है उनका बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग लॉबी है, एंड दे इन्फ्लुएंस मेनी डिसीजंस which are not suitable for the common people. As for example, Farmers Act कहते हैं this is farmers say this is beneficial for the corporate houses, हमारे लिए ये बहुत ही डेट्रीमेंटल है, लेटर ऑन वी वुड बी डिसीव्ड। तो गवर्नमेंट में जो है कि गवर्नमेंट इन ए सेंस शेयर पावर विद बिजनेस, सिंस within a market economy it is the price mechanism rather than government fact that determines the distribution of goods and services. Finally, many decisions are taken in influence in the influence of that powerful group. For the example, suppose business group or even government cannot take the what you call appropriate decision. Even government wanted, suppose even government wanted to take appropriate decision, it can't, because powerful group influence the government to take decision in their favor. आप जानते ही, आप देख ही रहे हैं, you can find numerous examples. A businessman जो है, they you know they make funding donations to the politicians. So there may be compulsion to take that business friendly decisions. Or you can say that governments can only govern with the consent of the business or corporate houses. अगर प्राइवेट इकोनॉमी बहुत स्ट्रांग हो जाएगी, और जो हमारा वेलफेयर मेजर्स है, वेलफेयर स्टेट में आप जानते हैं कि हर किसी के वेलफेयर का की अकाउंटेबिलिटी स्टेट के पास है. एवरीबडी नीड what you call reasonable life conditions, should have reasonable life conditions. उसको कम से कम घर, मकान, घर, कपड़ा, आवास, स्वास्थ्य और ऐसी कई जो बेसिक सुविधाएं हैं उनको मिलनी ही चाहिए. वेलफेयर स्टेट का माने यही होता है. All the citizens will enjoy at least reasonable facilities to live their life. तो आप जानते हैं ढेर सारे डिसीजंस जो होते हैं दैट इज अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ द पावरफुल ग्रुप. फॉर एग्जांपल, कॉर्पोरेट हाउस इज ए वेरी स्ट्रांग पावरफुल ग्रुप. कोई दूसरा ग्रुप भी हो सकता है, मीडिया ग्रुप भी हो सकता है. मीडिया कैन आल्सो इन्फ्लुएंस पॉलिटिकल डिसीजंस. नाउ मीडिया की कहानी आप जानते हैं. In modern society, concentration of power in the hands of few or handful of media proprietors, and the predominantly one-way nature of communication within television. Radio and newspapers means that instead of dialogue, we find a situation where public opinion is molded by media indoctrination. Nowadays, very common. Media speaks for a particular party, particular political party, or for a particular system. Actually, media tried to indoctrinate. कुछ व्यूज है that may not be right, उसको जो है लोगों तक पहुंचाना चाहती है. वो चाहती है कि वो उसको मोल्ड कर ले उस तरह towards that system. उसके लिए मीडिया को भी मीडिया गेट्स समथिंग. मीडिया इज ऑल्सो पेड. आप जानते हैं आजकल बहुत सारी बात हो रही है गोदी मीडिया, पेड मीडिया हाउसेस. तो ये काम करते थे, एक ओपिनियन बनाते हैं लोगों में. दे ट्राई टू मोल्ड द पब्लिक ओपिनियन. दे ट्राई टू मोल्ड मीडिया opinion is molded by media indoctrination. Indoctrination means कि they try to एक मतलब ideology उनके ऊपर वो बनाना चाहते हैं अपनी तरफ से. That may not be true. जिसको ideological hegemony कहते हैं, मार्क्सिस्ट राइटर उसको ideological hegemony कहते हैं कि ideologically रूलिंग क्लास का जो ideology है या डोमिनेंट सेक्शन का जो ideology है, that ideology imposed on subordinate class by means of indoctrination. आपको ऐसा लगता है यही सही है, when you take a kind of education, you study a kind of curriculum. That curriculum may be more suitable for the Western country than our country. तो आपको लगता है कि नहीं ये करिकुलम, आपको लगता है नहीं this curriculum has come from USA or from the US, from a very important from a very important university of USA से ये borrow किया गया है. वो क्लेम करते हैं कि this is the curriculum of the Oxford, this is the curriculum of the Harvard. तो अब जो है उनको एक तरह से इंडोक्ट्रिनेट करते हैं. वेरी उनको लगता है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट करिकुलम है और इसके जो है उसके मतलब उस कोर्सेस को के लिए जो है कि बहुत ही बहुत lucrative कोर्स है. आफ्टर कंप्लीटिंग दिस प्रोग्राम यू विल गेट अ वेरी lucrative जॉब इन यूएसए और अदर कंट्रीज. तो वहां पर क्या होता है, दे पे हेवीली फॉर दैट. उनको इंडोक्ट्रिनेट कर देते हैं. Even in many public institutions, very big institutions, IITs, IIMs, इससे लगता है once you study over there, then you can get very lucrative job in some foreign countries. Now this is a kind of indoctrination. उनको लगता है यही सही है. ये भूल जाते हैं कि पब्लिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस में जो पढ़ रहे हैं, जो लो कॉस्ट एजुकेशन अगर वो ले रहे हैं, तो वो दैट इज दे आर बीइंग पेड बाय द कॉमन पीपल. लेकिन वो इंस्टीट्यूशन ने इस ढंग का एक आइडियोलॉजी तैयार किया है, वो उसके अपना एक इस तरह का अपना एक वो अपनी पब्लिसिटी की है. उनको लगता है इसके बिना इंस्टीट्यूशन जो है इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं रहेगा. आपने कोई ऐसा इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं सुना होगा कि जो कहता है कि इस इंडिजिनस we will develop indigenous technology, and this technology will be very useful for this country, for the poor and underdeveloped or developing countries. All talk of developed countries. So this is some kind of indoctrination. जितने भी प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशंस है उनको मालूम है कि जो मिडिल क्लास फैमिली है उनके बच्चों को लिक्रेटिव जॉब चाहिए, उनको एक बहुत ही अच्छा जॉब मिल जाएगा, दे विल गेट लॉट ऑफ मनी, वो उनका इंटरेस्ट है. सो दैट्स व्हाई दे इडियोलॉजिकली उनको वो इंडोक्ट्रिनेट कर देते हैं. वो दिन भर यही कहते हैं कि मेरे बच्चे जो है यूएसए में है, मेरे बच्चे फ्रांस में है, मेरे बच्चे यहाँ है, मेरे बच्चे वहां है. मतलब उनके दिमाग में बैठा इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वो भूल जाते हैं बच्चे वहां क्या करते हैं, हाउ दे आर ट्रीटेड ओवर देयर. उनके जो राइट्स हैं, whether they enjoy the similar rights as they enjoy in their own country, और this cultural backgrounds वहां गए, वो उनकी सुटेबिलिटी कितनी है. वो दिन भर काम करते हैं, ऑफिस में भी काम करते हैं, घर में भी काम करते हैं. वो वहां पर अगर वो अगर उसको हाउस कीप चाहिए या कोई डोमेस्टिक हेल्प चाहिए, तो दे आर पेड इन लाख, विच इज अननोन टू इंडिया. वहां पर एक जो है डोमेस्टिक हेल्प और एक दूसरे एम्प्लॉय के बीच में जो सैलरी का गैप है वो कम है. Moreover, the parents who are left out in this country, वो क्या करते हैं, वो पूरे they are unable to take care of them. वो अपना तो केयर ले नहीं पाते हैं, तो उनका केयर कैसे लेंगे. They don't have such wealth कि वो उनको वहां रख पाए और उनका केयर कर पाए. और there are many other what you call bureaucratic hustles, diplomatic hustles. वो बेसिकली यही रह जाते हैं. और वो एक सोसाइटी में जो प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है आप देख रहे हैं. तो बिल्डिंग योर ओन नेशन नेवर मीन्स की गेटिंग ए lucrative जॉब इन सम अदर कंट्रीज. तो इस तरह का आइडियोलॉजिकल हेजेमनी, अगर प्राइवेट एजुकेशन की कोई पॉलिसी बन रही है तो उसके पीछे है कि इस प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशन में अगर आप पढ़ रहे हैं, यू विल गेट ए वेरी lucrative जॉब एल्सवेयर. और गेटिंग मनी, it is the only education institute is a commodity. तो ये इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन है। अभी आप सारे मिडिल क्लास के बच्चों को देखिए, दे ज्वाइन बायजूस, दे ज्वाइन अपग्राड, दे आर वेरी हैप्पी। स्कूल्स क्लोज्ड है, उनसे कोई लेना देना उनको नहीं है, because they have to pass a certain examination, and for that they are preparing the preparation, they are preparing sitting in the home। वही उनके पेरेंट्स चाहते थे, पहले इधर उधर वो चला भी जाता था, नाउ दे आर सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ देयर पेरेंट्स और अपनी तैयारी करते हैं। The Byju's have very good classroom, virtual classroom. They have discussion, they have test series, everything is there. Even many things are there. There what are not provided by the schools. Their schools, they are happy. Their final goal is just to procure a lucrative job. Corona as a pandemic was never utilized as a learning point. They never tried to learn with this pandemic. Empathy, sympathy, helping the others, वो सब कुछ नक्शे पर करते हैं। किसी को हेल्प की भी जरूरत होगा तो वो नक्शे पर ही करेंगे। They will do on the screen. There is screen robots. They can do only things. They can talk only. It is very difficult for them to go to the field and help the people. तो इस ढंग का जो इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन है, you have been put to some ideological hegemony control your mind. In case of totalitarian states, the mass media are controlled by the state. आप जानते ही हैं, जो totalitarian state है वहां पर mass media state के कंट्रोल में होता है। Even in liberal democracies, media are controlled by the capitalist class. हमारे जैसे कंट्रीज में भी कैपिटलिस्ट क्लास मीडिया को कंट्रोल करते हैं, and media try to indoctrinate the people, try to mold the people as they wish, as their plan. So these are the certain things which describe the relationship between public policy and politics. And public policy has, of course, now has become what you call its scope has further widened, and now policies, especially in liberal countries, policies are prepared in any government prepares policy in consultation with the civil societies. The role of civil societies, civil society has grown up, but at the same time, even within the civil society, there are many power lobbies. They have the what you call greater control over the policy. As for example, the corporate houses or media houses which try to indoctrinate the people for a particular political party or for a particular capitalist class. So media is controlled by capitalist class, and capitalist class the controls even economy also. So a large number of decisions in the private economy are taken under the influence of these powerful groups. So these are the things you should know, and you can have more and more points and discuss the thing. What is public policy? What are the changes in the policy we perceive, and what's relationship with the politics? So this way you can have a very good discussion on the issue. If you wanted to make some points, observations, or questions, you are welcome. आप इस पर एक छोटा सा वो तैयार कर लीजिए, राइट अप, because these are the things where you have to collect from different sources. So better you make a write up, and that write up will help you to make further discussion over the issue. Then, if you don't have any question or observations, then I will be closing my lecture. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.